Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence. Welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really do appreciate your time. I hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a closer look at a fragrance by the company Source Adage, and this one is called Aetai. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this fragrance, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin my perfume review of Aetai by Source Adage, and I tell you all about this fragrance, what it smells like, how long it lasts, the notes, ingredients, so on and so forth, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, if you like fragrance reviews here on YouTube, but also top 10 videos, giveaways, unboxings, special guests, and more, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. And of course, if you can give this video a thumbs up, it would really mean a lot to me, and it would help tremendously with the YouTube algorithm. So when it comes to the company Source Adage, I have actually reviewed another one of their fragrances. I'm going to leave a card to that up here if you're interested in learning more about it. But the one thing that really always caught my fancy and my attention in regards to this brand is how original their fragrances are. And you can smell the quality of the raw materials. Like for example, in this one, there's rose, there's violet, there's iris, there are some spices, olibanum, resins, and as you smell it, you definitely pick up on all of these elements, and the combination of all of these ingredients is actually very well put together in my opinion. So the name Aetai, it's actually an Algonquin word that means on both sides, and so with that being said, this is a unisex perfume, and yeah, it does have some elements in here where I would say it's very appropriate for a woman, and then there are also some darker, woodsier, resinous, and incensey elements in here that make me feel like this is super appropriate for a guy as well. So I'm very excited to give you my thoughts on the smell, hopefully teach you about a fragrance brand that you may have not heard of before, and just share my honest thoughts with you guys. But let's go ahead and start things off with the presentation. So right in the opening of this fragrance, you are going to get a lot of that rose and violet combination. And of course, rose has a very distinct smell. And with that being said, there are a lot of varieties of rose on the market, whether we're talking about Taif rose, Bulgarian rose, May rose, so on and so forth. Now, the rose that's used in here is very thick, but it's not jammy. There's nothing really fruity or sweet about this fragrance. Even some of the resins that are used in the base that could actually end up being a little bit sweet. They might have, in other fragrances, they might have a propensity of being a little bit sweet, maybe with a vanillic overtone. You really don't have that happening in this fragrance. As a matter of fact, it opens up with that floral bouquet where you have the rose, the violet, and the iris. And the iris gives off a nice amount of starch, and I feel like the iris combines really well with the violet to create a vibe that is appealing, but also reminiscent of some other fragrances that I really enjoy. So for example, there's Tuberose 1 Capricious by Histoire de Parfum. That's also like an iris tuberose kind of a fragrance. There's also Mephisto Gentiluomo by Casamorati under the Xerjoff umbrella. That also has violet and iris, if I'm remembering correctly. So there are a lot of other fragrances that do actually have that floral combination, and I think it's done very well in this one. Now, there's also something a little spicy about it, and the spiciness is what I think creates a really intriguing aura. You have some creamy sandalwood in the base. There's olibanum in here as well, which is also known as frankincense. To me, frankincense has a lemony pine kind of a smell, and I get a little bit of both of those facets of it. So I get a little bit of that lemony sweetness from it, and then I also get a little bit of that earthy pine quality, which gives off like a green undertone. So what I can say about this fragrance is that it's very deep, it's complex, it's multifaceted. Doesn't have too many top notes in there, aside from that lemony appeal that you get from the olibanum. But aside from that, you don't have too many lemony or citrusy facets in the opening, at least. You get those qualities as it starts to dry down. And of course, you have the combination of the spices, the florals, the woods, and the resins. And that's pretty much what you're going to get from this fragrance from top to bottom, or I should say from heart to bottom, because that's mostly what I'm getting in here. But it's because of the inclusion of a lot of these base heavy ingredients that this one actually does last on my skin a very long time. And the times that I have worn this, I also applied it on clothing, and yes, on fabric as well. It does last even longer than it did on skin. So skin, I would say, was in the wheelhouse of like 7 to 8 hours. Clothing is 10 plus hours. And so it's a very well composed fragrance. I love the fact that it's very unique and different from other fragrances on the market. So if you're looking for an indie slash niche brand with a very affordable price tag, and you are a fan of spicy floral ingredients, if you like rose, if you like violet, if you like iris, not too starchy of an iris, but you have a little bit of that starch in there, definitely check this one out. I think this one will be up your alley, and I hope you have the opportunity at the very least to sample this one. I think samples start at like $6 from the official website, so all of the information is going to be down below. Hope you have the opportunity to get your nose on it, as well as some of the other fragrances from this brand. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, I personally find this fragrance to be very unique. Like I said, that violet iris combination might kind of evoke some other fragrances, but at the end of the day, with the rose and the spices, the sandalwood, the woodsy ingredients, the resins that are in here, this is a completely new beast. It's a different fragrance, and it's something that I would put in a category of its own. In terms of the overall smell, I think it's very pleasant. However, it is going to be a little bit on the darker side. And so if you're not a fan of heavy florals, if you're not a fan of heavy resins, I would recommend that you get your nose on this first instead of committing to a blind buy. In terms of the longevity, like I said, very good. It's going to last 7 to 8 hours on your skin. In terms of the projection, also very good. It does radiate within an arm's length for the first 2 hours of application, but it remains steady. So even into that 6, 7, 8 hour mark, you can still smell it on your skin. So really good performance. It is concentrated at 20% oil, which is more than the average fragrance on the market. In terms of the versatility, I think it's perfectly unisex, just like the name conveys, Aetai, meaning on both sides. I also think that this one can be worn casually and formally. However, there's something kind of special about the way it's put together, so I would be more likely to wear this one formally as opposed to casually, although the price tag allows you to wear it casually without feeling like you're putting a hit on your bank account or anything like that. And I think somebody who's a little bit older and somebody who has more experience in the perfume world will have a stronger appreciation for this one. And I think anybody of any age can wear it, but again, must be predicated on how many niche fragrances you've tried out there, because this is a little bit darker and it is a little bit more in the wheelhouse of natural floral and resinous ingredients. And so, you know, take that with a grain of salt. The presentation for this one, there has been an upgrade on the bottles. I really do like the name on the glass here, and I think the presentation looks very classy, simplistic and minimalist, but classy nonetheless. So my final verdict is, if you are a fan of ingredients like rose, violet, iris, olibanum, sandalwood, spices, I would definitely recommend that you check this one out. I do think that this is a special fragrance, and it's one that not only I enjoy, but my wife enjoys this one as well. So thank you so much for your viewership. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I really hope you took something of value from today's video. If you did, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. And also, if you can give this video a thumbs up, it would really mean a lot to me once again. Thanks again for watching. Love you all. We'll see you next time. Bye.